Hey everyone, welcome back to GameSpot's E3 stage. I'm Mike Mahardy, here as always with Lucy James.
Hello.
And here as always with Daniel from Nintendo Treehouse. Our third host for the week for the fourth time?
Fourth time. This is the fourth time.
Fourth and last but not least visit.
Not the least, hopefully. We'll see. And there's always next year and future, whatever the future could hold.
So what are you showing us this time from your bag of games that you brought to E3?
Bag of games. We're actually showing off Octopath Traveler, which comes out on July 13th, so not too long to wait.
Wow.
And even better, an eShop demo comes out today as well. The second demo that people get a chance to check out. That's
today?
Today.
Awesome.
Today.
Cool. So tell us about Octopath Traveler. We have Sarah here.
Yeah, we got Sarah back there playing the game for us again. Octopath Traveler is a game where you basically have 8 unique travelers that have their own kind of story to play around with. And that's part of what you'll be experiencing in bringing this group together. Here, though, we actually have the group together already. We have 4 of the travelers together. We have a merchant, a cleric, a warrior, and a scholar.
Okay.
All with different abilities, and how you start using these characters together. You'll start customizing how these characters are created for yourself to be your own kind of strategic way you want to play through the game. Sure,
and if like the art direction, just at a glance, isn't indication enough, it's going for like an old school RPG vibe in part.
Yeah, a little bit of that old school vibe, like HD 2D, almost like feeling like a pop-up book coming at you kind of thing, which it just looks so gorgeous when you're running around in these different worlds. Like right here, we're in what area called Saints Bridge. You're kind of just walking around this whole thing and seeing what it looks like. Just really colorful town. You can see how the water looks and all these different things along the lines there. Even then, I forgot to mention that just a minute ago, Sarah actually, you notice there's now 5 people in our party.
Right.
She used one of path actions for the cleric, which is the guide. So basically, essentially, you recruit someone to become a follower from a town.
Right. Oh, cool.
That you can call upon when in combat.
Is that a temporary thing?
Yes. Once you use them in combat, they will they'll fight with you for a little bit, but they will then disappear.
Right.
Over time.
So out of these 8 paths at the beginning of the game, do we get to choose which one we want to tackle first?
It's your the story's the way you want it to go. And actually, the demo will give you access to all 8.
Oh wow!
And you can choose. But you have a limited amount of time to play each one. But you can get experience how long you experience the way the game you want.
Right.
So here we are entering combat. So combat does happen randomly as you enter the different worlds. In this case here, so we use some basic attack. There's a lot on the screen you see here.
Yeah.
The far right, you see what the characters are. And then at the top, you can see whose turn it is. So you do see those tiles kind of flipping through to know when a full round ends and who's up in each turn. And then going further down, now you can start seeing all the different abilities each hero has. So in this case, we're using Cyrus to attack. And then, I forgot about that. Underneath the enemies, I know there's a lot to take in here.
Yeah.
Underneath the enemies, you can see these little symbols called vulnerabilities. Normally, you don't have anything listed there, so you have to kind of discover what each of these enemies' vulnerabilities are.
Through trial and error?
Through trial and error, or certain characters, like the Scholar, has an ability where they can actually identify one every time you encounter a new person.
Right.
So you can start seeing is it weak against daggers, spears, swords, a certain kind of elemental attack, be it fire, wind, water, or those kinds of scenarios.
Right.
What kind of games would, for someone that maybe hasn't come across Octopath Traveler before, what kind of games would you, if they like, have inspired it, I guess, like throughout this? I mean, the Final Fantasy, I get Final Fantasy VI vibes, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of 2D games that would start you thinking like that. A lot of 2D RPG games that could be an inspiration, but the Square Enix folks are trying to make a new IP, a new franchise, really. And those mechanics, like having the different travelers, each of those characters, really offers a different experience because they all have different interactions. They have their own talents, their own skills, and how then you bring this band together because you have 8 of them.
Yeah.
So which 4 do you carry with you at any given moment in time? So that's where you start having to start customizing how you go into combat in this situation.
Did I read correctly that it's the Bravely default team?
I believe so, yes, I believe so.
So obviously they have pedigree.
They have a little bit of pedigree, yeah. So they're kind of building up the game in that way as well.
So if we have all these 8 characters, we can only take 4 into battle at one time. What happens to the other guys who we maybe don't have in our roster? Are they going to be under-leveled, or is it like a collective leveling thing where everyone gets brought up at the same time?
Oof. Good question. I'll have to check on that one. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's a good one. No, it's a good question to ask. But no, so how they all work, yeah, you'll have to figure out how that plays out when you start getting into the game. The demo will give you a better feel for that and how the game plays out from there. But yeah, no, you start choosing them. You do level them up. They do have all different skills. For instance, here, the warrior has different skills here where he has a lot of different weapon attacks and specials. Something else that is unique to this game as well, you brought up Bravely Default, was that here it's called Boost.
Right.
Where you can kind of essentially take a turn back and basically build up a meter up to 5 to then unleash these boost points you've earned to make attacks more powerful in certain ways. And then each traveler has a different sense of how this can be played out. So normally it boosts your attack. It could boost your elemental attack, kind of like a magical attack. For the warrior, Ulbrich specifically, he has the ability to use his boost to defend, not only to attack. So you start getting, there's a lot, I know I'm going through a lot of different things happening in this game, but that's when you start understanding there is a lot to customize and learn, and even secondary jobs, you can start learning other skills and start really customizing how all these travelers interact, kind of looking to your point of, if you only have 4, how do you get those other skills and other abilities, those other heroes you're not bringing with you can have access to.
How easy is it to swap people out? Can I just do it like while I'm traveling in the world, or is there a certain place I have to visit in order to swap people out?
So far, we haven't really shown that too much yet. In the first demo, you more got to experience each character in their separate realms, so we're not going too much into how they all interact and meet, but you do start being able to move around the world, and being those other travelers you go through the game.
Right.
So is what we're seeing right now taking place in the demo? Or if I were to play the demo today, would this
We're actually showing something different from the demo.
Gotcha, cool.
We're a little further along in the game, to show a little bit more of what this combat looks like.
Cool.
And it gets, as you said, there's a lot to take in, a lot of information. A lot of RPGs have that element, but it does not babysit you, but it does walk you through as you start with a traveler. You start learning in segmented pieces how all these abilities work, so you can start building on your knowledge base. Not you're just thrown into this all at once.
Sure.
Kind of get to break it down that way as well.
And you can see that 5th follower that you recruited down here as well.
Yeah, so Sarah has called in, using the cleric, she summoned her follower in, who has an axe ability.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see there along the bottom, along the vulnerability, this character here is vulnerable to axes, to staves, to kind of avoid dark magic kind of scenario there. And you can kind of see all this information there of what they're really vulnerable to, and then choosing which attacks to use to take advantage of those vulnerabilities.
Yeah, this battle's been I think Sarah's doing fine, but it seems like there's a lot involved with it.
Yes.
Like it's a pretty
There's a lot going on with it, and then even that you see that break that keeps appearing, that kind of like spinning stars. If you break a character by matching up sort of vulnerabilities, you basically make the enemy miss a turn.
Okay. Right.
So you'll see like at the top section again, all of a sudden their tile will just drop out, and then you can start building another way to build up those boost points.
Gotcha.
To really see those more powerful attacks as you go into the game as well.
So there are no tiles. You don't have to be in a certain place to be able to.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. The tiles I mean to the up top, the little diamonds up top.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, like on the actual battlefield itself, like you don't have to. You don't have to have movement turn.
No. It's more set in your positioning of your team on one side, the enemies on the other side, and then figuring out how you want to attack against these different ones. Like right here, the merchant actually is called in using one of its talents. It actually can basically call in someone using money. Basically hires a follower essentially who just jump in and kind of take an attack. So let's say your merchant doesn't have, or your team doesn't have a certain vulnerability accessible, you could hire someone who has that vulnerability to attack the enemy to help your team out.
Great.
Awesome. What is going on right now?
Right now she's looking through. Oh, she's actually hiring another follower. Kind of take advantage of attacking him. And now we're on Ophelia, the cleric. It's her turn. She still has her follower who automatically attacks.
Such a great looking game.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful, and there's a lot of subtle hints in it as well. Like you don't really see damage. There's no like damage meter that you see how much damage a character's taking. It's more based on their color. You can start seeing if they're getting closer to dying.
Kind of a contextual health bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not an exact number, like, oh, I need exactly this much damage. It's more kind of feeling how this world really builds into it.
Kind of like a Monster Hunter-ish.
Yeah. Works in that way as well. Now she's running away.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So these random encounters seem quite frequent, but they also seem very involved, and there's a lot of travel in between as well. I'm interested in like what the balance is like between exploration and random encounters.
It's a combination of the two. You're right, because even exploring has a wonderful way to start learning all these different areas. The merchant actually has an ability when you enter a certain talent, when you enter into a new area, it all of a sudden is able to collect all the money that has been lost by other merchants or fallen heroes or fallen fighters, and it basically gives you free money. But so that's the thing going in that situation in there. And then from the combat side, yeah, you're right. You can also flee combat. You can engage the combat. Each combat scenario is almost like a puzzle.
Right.
Like right here, you can see we don't have the vulnerabilities listed here this time around.
Yeah.
But you had one from the beginning because you brought in the Scholar, who gives you one for each enemy that's available. And then now by using fire, we just discovered that fire is another vulnerability to these enemies as well. So there's that puzzle mechanic. But there are even other things you can do to like basically help avoid combat.
Yeah.
There are certain skills to help lower combat encounters. So you can start messing with, do you want to more freely roam? Do you want to get more involved in the combat and really customize how your travelers come together and what you want to have accomplished?
Is that a bush on the top right up that they're fighting?
That is a wonderweed.
Okay.
It's a good question. It's a good question. It's a wonderweed. It looks a little bit like a bush. I can see that as well.
Yeah.
Just making sure. You never know with.
Fortnite has made me distrust.
And then right here, Tressa, the merchant, is using a skill called Collect, where it can collect money from enemies.
Yeah.
Right.
The more damage an enemy has taken, the higher percentage chance of accomplishing that skill.
Okay, cool.
So again, a lot of different things happening.
There is a lot going on. This is like the deep kind of RPG that I lose hours of my life to.
Yes.
Seems like we've kind of gone into a different biome from Saints Bridge. Now we're in.
Yes, we went from Saints Bridge into Mirkwood, and now we're going more into a forest area. Yes, and it's getting darker. And this is something we're showing off. It's kind of showing as well. And just showing those different environments. They're really vibrant. I mean, everything just looks gorgeous. As I said, it feels like a pop-up book that can really be enjoyed.
Yeah, it's funny seeing screens because you don't get the 2.5D from it. You just get the flat, but then when it's actually in motion, it looks even better. It's great.
This one too. It's all the effects. They're just all subtle, but it just makes it feel more vibrant in how the world comes to life, which is really nice in this one.
There's 4 people there. Like, so was that the follower attack as well, or was that like a separate summon? Was that when the mercenaries or whatever, like when you pay them to join the fight briefly?
I wasn't looking at the screen to see which attacks.
Oh yeah, it was.
You probably have a better view of what just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be one of those too. So yes. But even the graphics too. There's just in this fight. Actually, can you flee from this fight, Sarah? I'm gonna make you, if you can. We'll see if she can flee. Oh no, she'll fight. No, because one thing I was gonna show in the overworld too, just talking about the graphics, the HD graphics, was if you're in that area, the torch.
Right.
You actually can see shadows being casted by the different characters. You're going through all of that as well.
Awesome. Is that well, it looks like an Ent.
Yes.
I was gonna say.
You're in Mirkwood.
You are in Mirkwood. I think they're called Entwoods, so we can see what they look like here. Oh, gotcha. Sarah's just going to town on these guys. You can see they start kind of blinking different colors.
Yeah, so you see like lightning is a vulnerability for these owls. And then the other 2 haven't been discovered yet. So once you do discover it, every time you see one of them, it'll be there.
It'll be there permanent. So that's part of that this exploration aspect.
Yeah.
So even though you mentioned how much exploration, even in combat, you're constantly trying to unravel this puzzle and really explore each of these different enemies you're going to encounter.
It's a really nice quality of life thing that it appears under them at all times, as opposed to like just having to mentally remember it.
And they did actually from the first demo that came out last year. The developers have been taking a lot into account, like quality of life things. Like there's now a quicker, accessible mini map. You can now run, which was something people wanted to see.
Yeah.
They were taking feedback into account when looking at that demo, and I'm sure they'll take feedback in from this next demo that just came out today as well.
So we've got these random encounters with like groups of enemies. Are they going to be big boss fights, or is everyone always going to have some backup?
There are big boss fights. There's a whole story behind each of these characters, how they all interweave and how they connect. That all is there, but we're not going into too much detail yet. We don't want to ruin that surprise for people to really discover that on their own. But there are boss fights, which actually Sarah's working toward, depending on how she's going. But here you can see this torch I was mentioning before.
Yeah.
How it casts shadows. Again, that HD 2D, that kind of 2.5 you're almost describing, really brings a lot of that vibrant world.
That fog looks fantastic too.
Yeah.
Mist, maybe.
Mist, fog, yes, all that.
You said Sarah's going toward a boss fight?
She's trying to get there. I'm not sure how much time we have to get there. There's a lot to get through.
A few more minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to watching a game right now.
I know. It looks
really.
There's a lot going on. I say like now again, she basically broke them. She's got her turn. Now some of those guys are losing their turn. She's going to her warrior skills. Again, just trying to take advantage of all these things going on. Merchant skills. She's calling in hired help again. A dancer.
Dancer.
Yes. Which there is one of the characters is a dancer as well. I mean, there are those 8 travelers. Again, we only have 4 here, but there's an apothecary, the huntress, Primrose, the dancer, who was in the first demo. So there's all these other characters you can play with as well that you have a chance to experience and how they play. And again, that puzzle of like choosing like everything you're fighting, but what's your play style, how this all comes into what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Couple like AoE attacks, it looks like.
Yeah.
Area of attack, you get that option too. Multiple area, single targeted, how you want to build into all of that as well. I just like watching this game a lot.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. I know. That was not that strong of an attack, sadly.
What is the like halberd pike looking vulnerability? Is that like hacking attacks? like axe attack?
That's an axe, yeah.
It is an
axe, yes. Now she's using fire, which does a lot of damage, and broke them as well.
So there are like intuitive vulnerabilities, like the forest enemies will be. I almost said allergic.
Allergic.
It's been a long week. They'll be allergic to fire, like most of us.
And the owls were actually allergic to lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lightning magic in this situation, that was us. Now she's going on a bandit. Chop.
This Ent has a lot of health.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's called an Entwood, if I remember correctly. Scholar, yeah, she uses elemental. So yeah, you start having to learn out what all these characters. These guys are taking. Keep it up, Sarah. You're almost there.
Just trucking on. Well, how like far-ish into the game is this that we're seeing?
Yeah.
This is about, I think, 25, 30 hours into the game.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
So we jumped quite a bit in.
Yeah.
And that's why we kind of that. And the reason why is mainly so we can show off a lot more of the combat that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah did a really good job with all these different things going on.
Yeah.
Do health and everything like completely replenish between fights, or do we have to like stop off and take some?
No, you have to stop. You have to use items or purchase those items with money you incur, which is called leaves.
Right.
Leaves are the type of currency in the game. Get a chance to go through that as well as you earn it. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have, Daniel. But as always, we appreciate you coming up.
Yeah.
It's the last time.
I know it's the last time.
I'm gonna miss you.
I know. And then you guys are almost done with E3, your final day.
Yeah, we got our last demo after this, and
Yeah.
a little game
Hearts.
called Kingdom Hearts.
Nice.
But yeah, Daniel, as always, thank you so much. And you want to tell them about the demos?
Yeah, the demo is available today for Octopath Traveler, and the game comes out on July 13th, so only less than a month away before you get a chance to get your hands on that and really dive in deep.
So if you have a Nintendo Switch, you can go onto the eShop and try that out right now. And everybody, like people in our audience right now, just did that as we were talking. So everybody, thank you so much for joining, and stick around. We have one more demo. We are going to be looking at a game called Kingdom Hearts 3. We'll be right back.